So we're not going to use any music for this Vinyasa practice, but we will go ahead and get started in Child's Pose. So in Child's Pose, you want to be sitting back on your heels, reaching your hands out long in front of you, using your fingertips to grip the mat and pull yourself a little deeper into the stretch here. And we'll take a few breaths here, inhaling through the nose, and then a powerful exhale through the mouth onto your mat, blowing the hot air onto your mat. So feeling that exhale, feeling the warm air on your mat. I invite you to take a few breaths like that, and if you'd like to set an intention for your practice, you can do that now. If you'd like to dedicate your practice to someone, you can do that as well. And we'll just continue here for a few moments, breathing into the stretch. Maybe trying to deepen the stretch, walking our fingertips out a little further. And then just relaxing as we breathe here. Taking deep inhale through the nose and exhaling through the mouth, blowing that hot air out onto your mat powerfully. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling powerfully out onto the mat. Sitting back onto the ankles as much as you can as you reach your arms forward here. And slowly we'll start to walk our fingertips over towards the right side, maybe walking them all the way off the mat here so we can feel a stretch in that left side body. Walking them as far as we can while still pressing our left glute towards that left heel. Breathing into the side stretch. And very slowly we'll begin to walk our hands back through center again. And we'll begin walking our hands over to the left. Sitting back on that right heel. Feeling that stretch in the right side body. Maybe as we breathe, we're able to walk our fingertips a little further to the left. And then slowly we'll begin walking our fingertips back towards center. Reaching our hands out far in front of us, really gripping a mat here. We'll take an inhale, and as we exhale, we'll draw ourselves up to tabletop position. Taking a moment to check our alignment, bringing our wrists below our shoulders, our knees below our hips. Pressing into the hands, keeping our body nice and lifted here. Belly button is pulled into the spine, and then tailbone is in line with the spine, the crown of the head. Everything is one long straight line here. We'll take an inhale, and as we exhale, we're going to begin drawing our belly into the spine, arching our back, coming into that cat position. And as you inhale, let your belly drop. Raise your chest, raising your sternum, opening your throat to cow. Exhaling here, arching that back again into cat position. And inhaling, letting your belly belly drop to cow as you raise your sternum, opening your throat. Exhaling, pulling that belly button into spine, arching that back, really over-exaggerating here, coming into that cat position. And gently inhaling, letting the belly drop, raising the sternum to cow. And once more, we'll come into that cat position. And we'll drop our bellies, coming into cow. We'll come back to table, neutral spine here, so that the crown of your head is in line with your tailbone. And you want to make sure that you keep your hips stacked right above your knees. And slowly we're going to begin walking our fingertips forward, walking our hands forward, coming into that puppy pose. And in puppy pose, your hips are stacked above the knees, and you can either bring your chin down towards the ground, or you can bring your forehead down towards the ground. And you might want to try it in each pose, each variation, to see what feels best to you, which stretch you enjoy the most. Walking those fingertips out as far as you can. Pressing into the hands here. Feeling your body open. And keeping your forearms pressed against the ground, you're slowly going to inchworm yourself forward, bringing your belly towards the ground, but lifting your chest up, pressing into the forearms, coming into Sphinx pose. Your arms are in another number 11 here. They're parallel to one another. My dog, Jasmine. Pressing into it to really raise your chest up. Keeping your belly button and your pelvis and everything pinned down to the ground. You're pressing strongly into the hands to lift that chest, opening the throat here. And still pressing into the hands, we're going to slowly start to lift our hips up again, stacking our hips above our knees, coming back into that puppy pose. Arms are stretched out long, either our chin is coming down towards the ground or forehead. Whichever stretch you enjoy more. And as we inhale, we'll press into the hands, bringing your chest forward, slowly bringing our bellies towards the ground, pressing into the forearms, coming into that Sphinx pose again. And slowly we'll start bending the knees, lifting the hips up, coming into that puppy pose one last time. Maybe walking your fingertips out a little further. Trying to press your chest down towards the ground. We'll take one more inhale, and slowly we'll begin lowering ourselves down, bringing our hips down to the ground, coming into Sphinx one last time. Pressing our forearms, pressing our palms into the ground, using that to lift our chests up. And keeping our forearms exactly where they are, we're going to tuck our toes under and start pressing into our feet, and we're going to come into forearm plank here. Keeping our belly button pulled into our spine, and our spine long and straight from the crown of our head all the way to our feet now. Long straight line, pressing into the forearms. Hands can be open, pressing into the hands as well in this forearm plank. And slowly we're going to begin lifting our hips up. We're going to come into Dolphin Pose. And very gently you'll start tiptoeing your feet a little closer, lifting those hips up to the sky. And Dolphin Pose is just like downward facing dog, except you're on your forearms instead of your hands. This is a great pose for if you have wrist troubles, and downward dog is a little bit too much for you. You know, when I broke my wrist, I did dolphin instead of down dog, and forearm plank instead of regular plank. And slowly we'll begin coming forward, coming back into that forearm plank pose, maybe stepping our feet back a little bit, making sure that we're in one long straight line here, that our hips are neither high or low. then once again, we'll begin pressing the hips up for that dolphin pose, walking the feet in a little bit. And same thing as in regular downward facing dog, we're pressing our chest back towards our thighs. And slowly we'll begin coming forward, stacking our shoulders above our wrists, coming back into that plank pose, maybe stepping our feet back a little bit. And we're gonna come up on our hands, coming into regular plank pose here. And slowly we're gonna begin lifting our hips, coming into downward facing dog. Pressing into the hands, pressing our chest back towards our thighs. And you can go ahead if you wanna walk the dog a little bit. Bending into the knees, getting yourself comfortable here in this first down dog. And we'll bring our feet together so our big toes are touching. And slowly we'll begin lifting that right leg up high to the sky. And we'll step that right foot behind the left foot, crossing it behind here. Pressing into the hands, we're going to try and press our heels down as close to the ground as we can. So pressing into the hands, keeping our chest back towards our thighs, but also pressing into the heels so we can feel that stretch here. And slowly we'll begin lifting that right leg up for three-legged dog. And we'll place the right foot back next to the left. And we'll lift the left leg up high for three-legged down dog. And we'll cross that left foot behind the right foot, planting it back down on the ground, pressing into the hands. And we'll begin pressing the heels down towards the ground as well. And we'll lift that left leg up high for three-legged down dog, and we'll replace it back next to the right. We'll open our feet about hip distance apart, and slowly we'll begin walking our hands back towards our feet on the back of the mat. Coming into a forward fold here. And maybe we'll heel toe our feet a little wider so they're about the width of the mat here. And we'll take our yogi peace fingers and wrap them around our big toes. And you're going to really bend your elbows here. You can bend into the knees to get yourself all wrapped up. And then slowly begin straightening the legs as much as you can. And slowly begin straightening the arms, almost like you're lifting yourself up into halfway lift here. And then begin bending the elbows again, drawing your chest back towards your legs. Coming into a forward fold. And then straightening the arms here, coming into a halfway lift, trying to keep those legs as straight as you can. Lifting that back up. And bending into the elbows, drawing yourself back into that forward fold here. Slight bend in the knees is fine. If you need to bend them a little more, whatever works for you. And one more time, we'll begin straightening the elbows, trying to straighten the legs. Coming into a halfway lift. And we'll release the fingertips from the toes and slowly start walking ourselves forward into plank position here. And you can either jump, step, or walk your feet towards the top of the mat. If you'd like to try and float your feet, bend deeply into the knees, shoot your hips back, looking forward between the hands, and hop your feet forward. Coming into forward fold here on the top of the mat. Pressing your hands into your shins, lifting yourself up halfway. And exhaling, folding back down into that forward fold. And placing your hands on your hips, you'll lift your elbows, lift your chest, lift your chin, coming up with a flat back here. Inhale, arms reach up, and exhale your hands to prayer. We'll take another breath here, inhaling, arms reach up, And exhaling, hands to prayer. We're going to start off this practice with a little bit of balance. So ground into that left foot here. Lift up those left toes. Feel all four corners of your left foot pressing into the mat. You can come up on the right toes. And slowly we'll begin lifting our right knee up towards our chest. And we're going to turn our right leg out to the right. We're going to come into tree pose. And your tree can be here with your foot tented on the ground. Your tree can be your foot at your calf, or your tree can be your foot on your thigh. Whatever works best for you. And you can keep your hands here in prayer, or you can extend your branches. And bring your arms up to frame your head so that your ears are between your arms, if that's available to you. And slowly we're going to rotate that right knee so it comes forward. And you can either take your left hand on the outside of your right knee and twist yourself open to the right with your right arm behind you. Or if you'd like a little bit more, you can take yogi toe hold with those left fingers around the right big toe and open yourself out to the right. Whatever works for you in your practice today is fine. And we're going to bring our torsos back to center. We're going to release that hand. Go ahead, if your knee is bent, go ahead and kick your right leg out straight in front of you. We'll bring our arms out to a T, and slowly we'll begin to rotate that foot back, rotate that leg back, so that we come into Warrior 3 with airplane arms. Kicking out through that right heel, squeezing our legs together, trying to make sure that our hips are even and level. And gently we'll begin bringing our hands down to frame that left foot, kicking that right leg up into standing split. And we'll bring the right leg, or the right foot back down to meet the left, coming into forward fold, halfway lift, forward fold, and we'll reverse swan dive up with a flat back, taking a breath here and bringing our hands to prayer. And now we'll go ahead and do that on the other side. So we'll ground our right foot, lifting up the right toes, feeling all four corners of that right foot pressing into the mat, dropping the right toes, coming up on the left toes, slowly lifting our left knee up, rotating that left knee out to the side, and placing it, either tenting those toes on the ground, bringing a foot to your calf or to your thigh for tree pose. Keeping your hands wherever you feel comfortable, whatever helps you balance. And we'll bring our arms up to frame our ears. Arms are pointing straight up here. And we'll bring that left knee forward. And either grabbing the outside edge of the left knee with the right arm and opening to the left, or if you're ready for a little bit more, taking yogi toe hold with that right fingertips wrapped around the left big toe and opening your torso to the left. Left arm is back, right arm is forward. And slowly we'll release that hand, or we'll release the foot, bring our arms up once again. We'll bring our arms out to a T. That left leg is kicked straight out. If your knee was bent, go ahead and kick it straight out. And slowly we'll begin bringing the leg back behind us, kicking out through that left heel as we come into Warrior 3 with airplane arms. Trying to keep our hips level here. Kicking out through that left heel. And our hands will come down to frame that right front foot, kicking that left leg up high to the sky for standing split. Bringing the nose down to that right knee, and slowly bringing the left leg back to meet the right. And forward fold, halfway lift, forward fold. And plant the hands, and you can either jump, step, or walk your feet back to plank. And very slowly we'll press ourselves forward on the toes as we either on the knees or on the toes lower ourselves down to Chaturanga. And we'll bring our hands out wide, a little wider than our mat, coming up onto the fingertips, pressing into the fingertips here, taking an inhale, and as we exhale, drawing our bodies up, drawing our chests up, but keeping our hips glued to the floor. We'll inhale to lift ourselves up a little higher, and as we exhale, we'll exhale our right shoulder down towards the floor as we look over our left. And we'll inhale back up to center. Exhale that left shoulder towards the floor as we look over to the right. Inhale back to center. Exhale right shoulder down as we look over the left. Inhale back to center. Exhale left shoulder down, looking over the right. Back to center. Inhale to lift yourself up a little higher. Inhale, lift yourself up a little higher, and exhale yourself back down to the mat. And pressing into the hands, we will press ourselves either into baby cobra, cobra, or up dog, and flipping the toes, we'll come into downward facing dog. And go ahead, we'll take a few breaths here in downward facing dog, so you're welcome to pedal the feet a little bit if you need it, or anytime we're in down dog, if you need a break, you can drop your knees and come down to child's pose. I'm going to go ahead and switch sides, so I think it'll be a little easier for you to see me. And in downward facing dog here, we're going to lift our right leg up high to the sky, making sure that our hips are still square to the mat. And we'll bring our right knee over towards our right elbow. And we'll kick it back up to three-legged down dog. And we'll bring the the right knee over towards the left elbow. And kick it back up to three-legged down dog. Bring the right knee in towards the nose, looking forward between the hands. We'll step the right foot in. Using our hands to bring it up if it doesn't make it all the way. We'll plant the left hand directly below the shoulder, and we'll sweep the right arm up to the sky, coming into easy twist here. Actually, I think coming into easy twist here. And reaching up through those right fingertips, we're going to use it to pull ourselves up. So we're going to lift ourselves up to high crescent lunge here, still twisted over to the right. Right arm is back, left arm is forward. And we'll rotate our torsos to the center, coming into high crescent lunge here. And we'll slowly drop the left heel so it's parallel to the short edge of the mat as we open ourselves up into Warrior Two. Taking a moment in our Warrior Two to check our alignment, making sure we're pressing equally into both legs, rotating the hips outward, tucking the tailbone under, pulling the belly button into the spine, rolling the shoulders back and down. And we'll cartwheel the hands down to frame that foot once again, coming up on the left toes. And we're going to step back to side plank here, and you can either lower your left knee and step your right leg back to side plank, or you can lift yourself up through those right fingertips and kick that right leg back to side plank. Coming into side plank, we'll lower ourselves to plank. And you can either take a vinyasa here or lift your hips directly to downward facing dog. If you're taking a vinyasa, you're slowly lowering yourself down towards the ground, coming into cobra or up dog, flipping the toes, and coming into downward facing dog. And then we'll lift that left leg up high to the sky for three-legged down dog, making sure we're keeping our hips square to the mat. We'll bring the left knee over towards the left elbow, and we'll kick that left leg back up. We'll bring the left knee over towards the right elbow, and we'll kick that left leg back up. We'll bring the left knee in towards the nose, looking forward between the hands. We'll slowly step the left foot forward between the hands, using our hands if it doesn't make it all the way up here. Pressing into the right hand, we'll reach the left arm up to the sky, coming into easy twist. And reaching up through those left fingertips, we're going to use that to pull ourselves up, rotated to the left. Left arm is back, right arm is forward, our torso is twisted to the left here. We'll center our torsos coming into Crescent Lunge, arms reach up. We'll rotate that right foot so it's parallel to the short edge of the mat as we open ourselves up into Warrior Two. Taking a moment to check our alignment, making sure we're pressing equally into both legs. We're rotating our hips outward, tucking our tailbones in, pulling our belly buttons into spine, torso straight up and down. Shoulders roll back and down as we gaze over those left fingertips. And we'll cartwheel our hands down to frame that left foot. Right hand places, left arm sweeps up for easy twist once again. Reaching up high to the sky with that left hand, either lowering your right knee to the ground and stepping back to side plank, or staying up on the toes, reaching up through that left hand, pivoting onto the edge of that right foot, stepping the left foot back, coming into side plank here. And bringing ourselves forward into plank. You can take a vinyasa, lift your hips to downward facing dog, or you're welcome to take a child's pose. And we'll take a few breaths here in downward facing dog. So if you need to, you're welcome to go into child's pose. And we'll kick that right leg up high to the sky. We'll bring the right knee over towards the right elbow and extend that right leg back up for three-legged down dog. We'll bring the right knee over towards the left elbow and then extend that right leg back up to three-legged dog. Bring the right knee in towards the nose, looking forward between the hands. We'll step the right foot forward using our hands if it doesn't make it all the way up. And we'll pivot that left foot so it's parallel to the short edge of the mat. We'll bring the right hand inside the right foot and we'll open ourselves up to extended side angle here. If this is a little bit too much for you, you're welcome to place the right forearm on the ground, on your leg. Making sure that our arms are in one long straight line here. Shoulders are stacked. And slowly we'll cartwheel our arms up, coming into reverse warrior. That right arm reaches up and over our heads, reaching through those right fingertips. And we'll open ourselves up to Warrior Two here. Checking our alignment, making sure that we're deepening into that warrior two pose, bending into that right knee. And we'll clasp our hands behind our back and gently we'll begin pulling our hands down as we take a little back bend here, pulling our belly buttons into our spine. We'll start lifting our sternum, opening our chest, opening our throat. And slowly we'll come back to neutral and we'll begin bringing that, our hands still clasped. We'll begin bringing our hands up over our head as we come into humble warrior here. Bringing our right shoulder inside our right knee, bringing our knuckles up above our heads like we're trying to touch them to the ground in front of us. And very slowly we will begin lifting ourselves back up, keeping our hands clasped behind us. We're going to pivot that left foot coming into Crescent Lunge once again. So pivot that left foot so it's parallel to the long edge of the mat. We're going to ground into that right foot. Lift up the right toes if you need to so you can really feel them pressing into the ground here. You take a baby step in with your left foot and slowly we're going to begin lifting our left leg up, kicking through that left heel, bringing ourselves into warrior three with our arms clasped behind our back. And just like before, we want to try and keep our hips level, kick out through that left heel and squeeze our legs together. And slowly we'll begin dropping our hands down to frame that right foot coming into standing split once again. Taking a few breaths here, trying to get our nose a little closer to our right knee. Inhaling to find length in our spine, exhaling to draw our nose a little closer. If you want to try and challenge your balance even more, you can try grabbing your ankle with one or both of your hands here. And then slowly we'll bring the left toes back down to the ground. We'll once again lift ourselves back up into Crescent Lunge here. We'll bring our hands to prayer and we'll twist over to the right, hooking that left elbow outside of the right thigh, pressing into the hands, making sure we're keeping our chest up and lifted, making sure we're not collapsing into this pose. And slowly you're going to look forward next to the foot, step that left foot in next to the right, so you're coming into twisted chair here. And you can stay here, or if you'd like to, you can open the arms. So the left arm is going down towards the ground as the right arm extends towards the sky. We'll bring our hands back to prayer, twisted prayer here. We'll look forward. We'll make sure that we're pressing into the hands and we're pressing that the left tricep into that right leg. We'll ground into that right foot, looking forward at the feet. Slowly try lifting that left foot up towards your glute, extending it back, hovering it if you can, and stepping back into twisted prayer crescent again. And hands will come down to frame that right foot. And we'll kick that right leg up to the sky. And if you want to, you can just place your leg and come into downward facing dog, or if you'd like a little bit more of a challenge, come up on the toes of that left foot and try a three-legged vinyasa here. We're coming back into downward facing dog, and we'll take a few breaths here in down dog. So if you need to drop your knees and come to child's pose, you're welcome to. slowly we'll begin. If you are in child's pose, go ahead and lift your hips to downward facing dog. And very slowly we'll begin lifting that left leg up high to the sky for three-legged down dog. We'll bring the left knee over towards the left elbow. And we'll shoot it back up towards the sky. We'll bring the left knee over towards the right elbow. And then we'll stretch it back up towards the sky. We'll bring the left knee in towards the nose, looking forward. We'll step the left foot between the hands here. And turn around, it's a little easier for you to see. We'll rotate that right foot so it's parallel to the short edge of the mat. We'll bring the left hand inside the left foot and open our right arm up to the sky, coming into extended side angle. If this is a little bit too much for you, you're welcome to bring your forearm to your thigh. But you want to make sure that you're keeping your chest open and lifted, that you're keeping your arms in one long straight line, shoulders stacked. And we'll reverse our warrior here, bringing that left arm up and over our ear, extending out and really reaching through those left fingertips. And we'll open ourselves into warrior two, taking a moment to check our alignment here, maybe deepening our warrior two stance. And our hands will come back to clasp behind our back. And if you can, clasp them the awkward way, the way that you didn't clasp them last time. And gently we'll draw our hands back as we come into a little back bend here, pulling our belly buttons into our spine, but reaching our sternum up towards the sky, opening our throat. We'll come back to neutral, and we'll come into humble warrior, bringing that left shoulder inside the left knee as we bring our clasped hands up and over our head like we're trying to touch them to the ground in front of us. And slowly we'll begin lifting ourselves back up. We'll pivot that right foot, so we come back into Crescent Lunge here. So both feet are pointing forward. We'll ground into the left foot, picking up your left toes if you need to. Maybe taking a little step in with your right foot before slowly kicking your right heel out, coming into warrior three here. The arms clasped behind our back. Extending out through that right heel, squeezing our legs together, trying to keep our hips level. And we'll release the hands down to frame that left foot as we kick that right leg up high to the sky for three-legged or for standing split. Taking a few breaths here, trying to get the nose a little closer to that left knee. Once again, if you'd like to challenge your balance a little bit more, you can release one hand or both hands around your ankle. Slowly you can release your ankle, and we'll step that right foot back down to the ground. Sweeping our arms up to that crescent lunge once again. We'll bring our hands to prayer. We'll twist to the left. As we come into prayer twist, our right elbow will hook outside of our left leg. We'll really press strongly into the hands here, making sure that we're keeping our chest lifted, that we're not collapsing into this pose. Looking forward up at the left toe. We'll slowly step the right foot in next to it, coming into twisted, to prayer, twisted chair. And if you'd like to, you can extend your arms here. Your right hand will go down towards the ground as your left arm reaches up. Hands will come back to prayer. Really press into the hands, pressing the arm into your left leg, looking forward at the toes. Prepare your left leg to take the weight as you very gently try and start lifting that right heel up towards your glute. Maybe floating that right leg back before dropping it down. Coming into prayer lunge once again. Arms will reach up, will center, torsos coming to crescent. Hands will come down to frame that left foot. We'll kick that left leg up high to the sky, and you can either place the left foot down, coming into downward facing dog, or if you'd like to take that three-legged vinyasa, go ahead. And we'll press ourselves up into downward facing dog. And looking up between the hands, we're going to bend into the knees, shooting our hips up high. Knees are bent, looking forward between the hands. And go ahead and jump your feet forward. Stay low in this squat here. And we're going to slowly lower our hips down towards the ground. And we're going to come into balance on our tailbones as we come into boat pose. And your boat pose can be maybe just your toes lifted off the ground. You're welcome to grab behind your thighs. You can bring your legs to a shelf position, or you can extend your legs. If you're able to, you can extend your legs and your arms here. Just make sure you're not compromising your form. You want to make sure your back is long and flat from the crown of your head to your tailbone. And if you can, bring your hands into prayer, and we'll maybe do a couple twists. Twisting over to the right, back to center, twisting over to the left, back to center, over to the right, center, left, center. We'll come back to boat. We're going to cross our ankles, bring our feet to the ground, bring our hands to the ground in front of us, and shoot our legs back to plank. And in this plank pose, we're going to slowly rotate over on that left foot as we reach our right arm up to the sky, coming into side plank on the right side. Feet can be staggered, stacked. You can even put that left knee down if you need to. And we'll replace the right hand, rolling over on the outside edge of that right foot. We'll lift the left arm up to the sky, coming into plank on the other side. And we'll come back down. Come back into plank. We'll shoot our hips up to the sky for downward facing dog. Looking forward between the hands, we're going to bend into the knees a lot, bringing the tailbone up towards the sky. Looking towards the hands, we'll jump our hands up to the feet. We'll gently bring our bottoms to the ground, and we're going to come back into boat pose here. Coming into whichever variation of boat suits you. Once again, making sure that your belly button is pulled into your spine and that your back is long and flat here. If you can, maybe try a couple of twists. If this is too easy for you, as you twist to the left, extend your right leg. Back to center. As you twist to the right, extend your left leg. Feel free to choose whatever level of difficulty works for you. And we'll come back to boat pose. Once again, we'll cross our ankles. Maybe try and cross them the opposite way this time. Feet will come down to the ground, hands will place, and we'll shoot the feet back to plank once again. Centering that left hand, we'll swivel over to the edge of that left foot, or placing your left knee down, coming into side plank once again. Maybe you'd like to get a little fancier. Maybe you want to do a leg up or come into tree side plank. This will be the last side plank on this side, so feel free to challenge yourself. And we'll come back down, placing the right hand. We'll reach the left arm up. Once again, feel free to do whatever kind of side plank you'd like to do. And once again, hand will come down. We'll shoot back to plank. And you can either take a vinyasa or go directly to downward facing dog. Pressing into the hands, pressing our chest back towards our thighs for one last down dog here. And then slowly we'll bring our knees to the ground. And we'll roll ourselves over into a comfortable seated position. We're going to come into a wide-legged straddle here. So go ahead and open your legs out wide. Maybe point and flex the toes a few times, making sure you're lifting yourself up tall through the crown of your head. Extend the arms up on your inhale, and as you exhale, drop that right hand down that right leg and reach that left arm up and over your ear towards your right foot. Extending through that left arm, making sure we're keeping our chest open and lifted here. Inhale yourself up to center, exhaling over to the left. Those right fingertips are reaching towards those left. Inhale up to center, exhaling over to the right. Inhaling up to center, exhaling over to the left. Third time, inhaling up to center, over to the right. Inhaling up to center, over to the left. Inhaling back up to center, and this time we'll walk our hands forward, slowly walking ourselves out as far as we can, using our fingertips to grip the floor of the mat. Inhaling to find length in our spine, exhaling to draw ourselves a little deeper into the stretch. And then make sure that your feet are pointed or flexed. Either one, just make sure you're keeping your legs active here. And slowly begin walking yourself back up to center. We'll bring our feet into butterfly, bringing our foot bottoms together here, grasping onto it. We'll sit up nice and tall here, and then slowly we'll begin bending over the legs, coming into another forward fold, this time with bent legs. Using our breaths to draw ourselves a little deeper into the stretch. Inhaling to find length, exhaling to draw yourself a little deeper. And if you'd like to, you can begin walking your arms out in front of you. You can either stay holding onto your feet or walking your arms out in front of you, whatever helps you draw yourself deeper into the stretch here. And then slowly begin walking yourself back up to seated position. And we'll come over onto our backs, laying ourselves down here. We'll bring our arms out to a T. We'll bring our legs up to shelf here. And we will bring our toes down to the ground as we scooch our hips over to the right. We'll bring our knees back up towards our chest, and we'll drop our knees over to the left here, making sure you're keeping that right shoulder in contact with the floor. Coming into the supine twist. If your neck allows it, you're welcome to look to the right. And you're welcome to make this twist your own. If you'd like to extend that top leg and take yogi toe hold, you can. If you'd like to wrap the legs around each other, you're welcome to do that. If you want to use that left hand to press your legs a little closer to the ground, you're welcome to do that as well. Just make sure that you're keeping that right shoulder blade in contact with the floor here. And if your legs are wrapped or if you have yogi toe hold, go ahead and release that. Release your left arm back to the floor. Slowly bring your gaze to the ceiling as you lift your legs back up to center. Drop your toes to the ground to straighten your hips. And then you'll shift your hips over to the left. Bring your knees up towards your chest and gently drop them down to the right. Keeping both shoulder blades in contact with the floor, looking over to the left if your neck allows it. So again, you can make this twist your own if you'd like to take yogi toe hold, extending that top leg. If you'd like to wrap your legs around each other, you're welcome to. If you'd like to use that right hand to press your legs closer to the ground, you're welcome to do that as well. Just make this twist your own. Enjoy the stretch here. And slowly we'll begin bringing our head back to center. We'll release whatever we were doing with the legs, and we'll gently begin bringing our legs back up to center. Go ahead and drop your toes to the ground so you can center your hips once again, and we'll bend into the knees, bringing the knees up towards our armpits. We'll flex our feet up towards the ceiling, either grabbing our big toes or the outside edges of the feet. We'll come into happy baby here, pulling our knees into our armpits, flexing our feet towards the ceiling, making sure our tailbone is down on the ground. And you're welcome to do whatever feels good to you here. If you'd like to sort of roll back and forth a little bit to massage the spine, you can. If you'd like to, you can extend one leg, maybe extend the other. You can extend both legs here. Just do whatever feels good to your body. Maybe you want to keep moving a little bit, keep massaging the spine. And slowly we'll release our hands down to the mat. We'll bring our feet up towards center. We'll point and flex the feet a few times. Point the toes and slowly bring that right leg down to the right corner of the mat. The left leg down to the left corner of the mat. We'll roll our shoulder blades under as we bring our palms up facing the sky. Closing our eyes here, we'll relax into the mat, letting our bodies feel heavy. Taking a few moments to be thankful for everything that our bodies have done for us. Be thankful that we took this time out for ourselves. Just relax. I invite you to come back to the intention you set for your practice. If you dedicated your practice to someone, you can think about that as well. And then just allow your body to completely relax here in your Shavasana. And you're welcome to stay in Shavasana as long as you like. I wish you health and happiness. Thank you for sharing your practice with me today. Namaste.